Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the world of ancient China, where ambition reached the skies, paranoia ran wild, and one man wanted to live forever. This is the tale of Qin Shi Huang, the very first emperor of China. Before we dive in, here are some shocking facts about this man. I promise, the very last one is something nobody's ever told you before, so stick around until the end to discover it. Born in 259 BC as Yin Zhang, he rose to power at the age of just 13. By the time most of us would still be stressing over school exams, this teenager was already plotting how to conquer the entire known world. And believe it or not, he succeeded. By 221 BC, he unified 7 warring kingdoms into a single empire. But Qin Shi Huang was not just any ruler. He was a visionary who dreamed of a China with one language, one currency, and one ruler himself. Yet behind the glory stood a man obsessed with immortality, a terrified assassin, and willing to push his people to the breaking point. This story has everything: wars, assassins leaping out of nowhere, massive construction projects, oceans full of failed expeditions, and one giant clay army buried underground.
The Warring States. Before Qin Shi Huang, China was not one united country. Instead, it was a chaotic battlefield known as the Warring States period. 7 powerful kingdoms fought endlessly for supremacy. Imagine Game of Thrones, but with even more swords and a lot fewer dragons. The Qin Kingdom, located in the west, was seen by others as rough, uncivilized, and a bit barbaric. But what they lacked in reputation, they made up for in discipline. Qin armies were fierce, organized, and led by brilliant generals. And young Yin Zhang, soon to become Qin Shi Huang, was ruthless enough to use every trick in the book. Through a series of brutal wars, alliances, betrayals, and let's just say, a lot of casualties, Qin slowly crushed its rivals. By 221 BC, the dream was complete. Yin Zheng declared himself Shi Huangdi, meaning the first emperor. Not king, not ruler, emperor. It was a title he invented, because in his mind, no existing word was powerful enough for what he had achieved. The unification of China was historic, but peace? Not exactly. When you glue 7 kingdoms together, the cracks never disappeared. And Qin knew he needed absolute control. The empire would crumble overnight. His answer was radical reforms, massive construction projects, and an iron grip over every subject. Standardization mastered. To hold a vast new empire together, Qin Shi Huang needed order. He needed order, so he standardized almost everything.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. Everything I do so instinctive and so passionate. Every word I move so descriptive like an adjective. I got a vendetta against people who patent it. Being negative when you should be getting after it. I got facts over tracks, this and that. Spitting slow, spitting fast. I can roast, I can gas. Think I'm okay at last, but I don't know if that can erase all the past and the pettiness. A reflection of the emptiness. Hilarious, you think you're with my time, you're delirious. Mysterious, because you hide behind a fake exterior. Inferior, you know I'll always be a bit superior. Get off of me, this ain't no humble brag. I want you to hear words, you can say them back. I want you to feel free from the chains at last, and to believe in what you got, it was built to last. Yeah.
Qin was basically highway regulations 2,000 years before traffic jams. This obsession with empire stability.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make make a statement.
Rebellions,
The consequence of being incompetent.
Continue
Mental
to
health is
form
confidence,
cancer.
dreams and
Ran
honesty.
is
I'm not here to
terrifying.
save the day. That's for you
Build
to take
walls,
away.
build
Playing me in
armies,
mind games, but it's hard to say.
silence,
Something not
dared
illogical,
to
something that is topical.
Great
Rub it
Wall.
on and watch it go. Make yourself unstoppable. Dreams are irresponsible, but they're always possible.
Famous
If you just
project
believe,
was
you
the
could
Great
be
Wall
so
of
remarkable.
China.
Thoughts in my head, a collage and they spread. I'll be great one day, going off of my meds. No, I'm not giving up, no, I'm not giving in. I will make it to the top, taking off in the wind. I gotta make it. I'm saving every day to taste it. I'm patient, but my mind, it can hardly take it. I'm chasing a dream that I've had for several ages of vacant. Modern kingdom for the taking.
Why build it?
Now that I've been through
Protection.
I never got
Dramatic
anyone's
trials.
help. I had to do it all myself.
Rating. Borders.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement.
Say the wall became the longest cemetery in the world. Countless workers died from exhaustion, hunger, and harsh weather. Their bodies buried within the very wall they built. Grim, right? But Qin didn't stop there. He ordered massive roads across the empire for his armies to move swiftly. He commissioned palaces, canals, and fortresses. It was nationhood on steroids. To Qin, these projects symbolized the strength and unity. To the common people, they symbolized suffering and endless toil. And here's the irony. While Qin wanted to secure his empire for eternity, the sheer weight of his projects left his people crushed, angry, and ready to rebel. Fear, control, and burning books. Qin Shi Huang was obsessed with control. He didn't just want power on the battlefield, he wanted power over people's minds. And that led to one of the darkest moments in Chinese history, the burning of books. Around 213 BC, Qin's advisors convinced him that scholars were dangerous. These intellectuals loved debating the past, quoting old philosophies and criticizing current policies. Qin saw that as subversion. His solution? Eliminate the source of doubt. He ordered all historical texts and philosophical works not directly approved by the state to be burned. The only writings spared were about agriculture, medicine, and his government decrees. Knowledge was no longer free, whatever Qin said it was, but it didn't stop at books. Scholars who resisted, many were executed, some buried alive according to ancient accounts. Whether exaggerated or not, the message was clear. Disagree, and you disappear. This brutal suppression earned Qin both fear and hatred. On the one hand, his empire became ideologically united under the legalist philosophy. Strict laws, harsh punishments, no room for debate. On the other hand, resentment grew like wildfire beneath the surface. Qin had unified China with iron and fire, but unity built on terror has cracks. And those cracks widened as his paranoia deepened, especially his obsession with something no emperor could ever fully control: death. The quest for immortality. If there was one thing Qin Shi Huang feared above all, it was death. For a man who had conquered kingdoms and declared himself the first emperor, the idea of mortality was unbearable. He became obsessed with finding the elixir of life, a magical potion that would grant eternal youth. He sent expeditions across the empire and beyond, searching mountains, islands, and seas for mythical immortals who supposedly held the secret. Some legends even claim he dispatched entire fleets to the eastern seas, hoping to reach mysterious lands where sages live forever. Did they reach Japan? Korea? Nobody knows. But many never returned. At court, alchemists prepared potions of mercury and strange herbs, assuring the emperor these would life. Ironically, these toxic brews probably hastened his decline. Imagine drinking poison daily, believing it was a miracle cure. That was Qin Shi Huang. This obsession made him unpredictable, paranoid, and isolated. He built secret palaces, moved between them constantly to avoid assassins, and trusted fewer and fewer people. For the emperor, immortality was slipping away like sand through his fingers. And yet, even as his body weakened, his ambition grew. If he could not live forever, perhaps his empire and his legacy could. That dream would manifest in one of the greatest archaeological wonders of all time, the Terracotta Army. The Terracotta Army. In 1974, farmers digging a well near Xi'an stumbled upon what is now considered one of the most incredible discoveries in history, the Terracotta Army. Thousands of life-sized clay soldiers buried underground, each with unique faces, hairstyles, and armor. These weren't just statues, they were Qin Shi Huang's insurance policy for the afterlife. The emperor believed that when he died, he would continue ruling in the next world. And what better way to secure his eternal reign than to have an entire army buried with him? Archaeologists estimate over 8,000 soldiers, along with horses, chariots, and weapons were created. The craftsmanship was astonishing. No two faces were alike, suggesting real soldiers may have been used as models. It was like a 3D snapshot of Qin's military machine, frozen in clay for eternity. But let's not forget, constructing this underground kingdom took enormous resources and countless workers. It was yet another burden on a population already stretched thin. The Terracotta Army guarded a vast tomb complex, still largely unexcavated, believed to contain rivers of mercury and unimaginable treasures. Ancient texts describe it as a miniature universe, with constellations painted on the ceiling and flowing mercury rivers to mimic seas. Qin Shi Huang's final resting place wasn't just a tomb, it was a statement. I am eternal. My empire is eternal. Yet, despite all this grandeur, one thing remained painfully true. No amount of clay soldiers, mercury rivers, or secret palaces could protect him from the fate he dreaded most.
The Emperor's death. In 210 BC, while on a tour of his empire, Qin Shi Huang suddenly fell ill. Despite the endless potions and promises from his alchemists, the first emperor was dying. His death was shrouded in secrecy. His ministers feared chaos if news spread too soon. So they transported his body in a carriage filled with rotting fish to mask the smell, pretending the emperor was still alive. Imagine the awkwardness of officials bowing to a carriage with both a corpse and a fish market inside. But even in death, Qin's paranoia lingered. His advisors forged decrees, manipulated succession, and fought for power behind the scenes. Within a few years, his empire began to unravel. The first emperor's dream of immortality had failed. His obsession with eternity had only sped up the collapse of everything he built. By 206 BC, just 4 years after his death, the Qin dynasty fell, replaced by the Han. And yet, Qin Shi Huang's legacy was undeniable. He had unified China, laid the foundation for centuries of imperial rule, and left behind monuments so massive that they still inspire awe today. In chasing immortality, he achieved a different kind of eternity. History itself would never forget him. Succession and chaos. But here's the thing. After Qin Shi Huang's sudden death, the empire didn't exactly throw a party of stability. Nope. What followed was one of those messy family dramas that would put even the most toxic soap operas to shame. The emperor's chosen heir? Well, let's just say he wasn't exactly cut out for the whole ruler of the known world gig. Weak, inexperienced, and surrounded by manipulative advisors who loved power just a little too much, he quickly became more puppet than king. Imagine being a teenager thrown onto the throne, with scheming ministers whispering in your ear like evil life coaches. Hey, don't listen to the generals, just trust us. Oh, and by the way, let's raise taxes. That'll make the people love you. Spoiler alert, it did not make the people love you. This was a recipe for disaster. The people who had already been crushed under endless labor and taxes, they finally had enough. Rebellions began sprouting across the land like weeds after a storm. The dynasty that Qin Shi Huang built with iron and blood was starting to wobble. The fall of the dynasty. It didn't take long before the cracks turned into full-on collapse. Farmers, soldiers, scholars, everyone who had a bone to pick with the Qin, and trust me, there were a lot of bones, rose up. These weren't small little riots either. We're talking about massive uprisings that shook the foundations of the empire. One famous rebel leader, Chen Sheng, reportedly rallied his troops with the cry, "A nobleman may start a rebellion, so why not us commoners?" Boom. Instant spark. The Qin dynasty's armies, once feared across China, were suddenly stretched too thin. No amount of walls or terracotta statues could stop wave after wave of rebellion. And here's the kicker. The dynasty that had united China for the first time in history, it lasted only 15 years. Yep, 15. That's shorter than some Netflix shows. After all that brutality, innovation, and obsession with immortality, Qin Shi Huang's grand empire crumbled almost as quickly as it rose. Legacy of Qin Shi Huang now. You might think, well, that was a waste. All that effort for 15 measly years? But not so fast, because Qin Shi Huang's impact didn't end with the fall of his dynasty. Let's give the guy some credit. He standardized writing, weights, measures, and even the width of cart axles. Yes, seriously, that meant roads and trade actually worked smoothly across this massive empire. He also started the Great Wall Project, which later dynasties would expand into the iconic wonder we know today. And of course, his terracotta army still leaves archaeologists and tourists speechless. Thousands of unique clay warriors silently guarding their emperor for over 2,000 years. It's basically one of the greatest surprise reveals in world history. So while his dynasty collapsed, his ideas, systems, and sheer audacity shaped China for centuries to come. In a way, Qin Shi Huang got his immortality after all, not through mercury potions, but through history books and jaw-dropping artifacts. And that, my friends, is the wild story of Qin Shi Huang, the emperor who united China, burned the books, built walls, hunted for immortality, and buried himself with a literal clay army. A man both feared and admired, who left behind a dynasty that burned bright, but oh so briefly. Now here's a question for you. If you were remembered for only 15 years of work, but it changed your entire civilization, would that be enough? Drop your thoughts in the comments and tell me, which ancient civilization do you want me to cover next? Egypt? The Aztecs? Maybe something totally unexpected? Oh, and don't forget, if you enjoyed this trip into ancient China, hit that like button, subscribe for more epic history with a twist, and stick around, because history has plenty more drama waiting for us.